Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video. This week's Torah portion is Lecha. That's right. We are introduced to Avraham Avinu, Abraham our patriarch, and Sarah Imenu, Sarah our matriarch. Let's just talk about those words for a moment. The Jewish people are considered family. I always tell this to students. We don't have founders. We have patriarchs and matriarchs. We are considered Jews because we are all descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. Anyway, that wasn't really what I wanted to talk about today. What I want to talk about is, who was Abraham? What's so special about him? And what does it mean, Lech Lecha, go for yourself? And how does that tie into our lives? So, last week we had Noach and the flood. Noach is Ish Tzaddik, a great righteous person. He's tamim. He's wholesome. He walks with God. Unbelievable person. Noach is an unbelievable person. But he's not Abraham. Noach is missing what Abraham has. And that is introduced to us at the beginning of this week's Torah portion. Hashem says, Lech Lecha, go forth. Go for yourself. Me'artzecha, from your land. Mimoladatecha, from your birthplace. Umibeis avicha, from your father's home. And many of the commentaries ask the question, just tell him to go. If he's going, obviously he's going from somewhere. You have to point out 3 different adjectives to describe where he's coming from, that he's going from his land, from his birthplace, from his father's house. What's going on with this? One of the great challenges, I think, for all of us is to overcome certain pretense, certain nature, certain culture that we grow up with. It becomes difficult to overcome that when we're trying to grow, when we're trying to become ourselves or become someone different, maybe. We're trying to take on a new experience in our lives, as this is especially true when it comes to Judaism. So many times we tell ourselves, oh, no, my parents didn't do that. Or in my community, we don't do that. The other thing we're often afraid of is sticking out like a sore thumb. Nobody wants to become alienated from their environment, from their friends, and so on. And no doubt Abraham had these issues, or he could have had these issues. God says to Abraham, I want you to leave home. Lech Lecha, go forth. From your land. The word land is from Eretz, is related to Ratzon, which means will. All those desires that you have, all the things you want, I want you to leave it behind. Let go. From your birthplace. The culture, the environment you grow up in. The environment we grow up in really shapes us, has a big influence. Think about it. What sports team you root for? If you do Thanksgiving, you don't do Thanksgiving. All these type of things are really impacted by our environment. The community we grow up in. God says to Abraham, leave it behind. Don't bring that with you. Break away. From your father's home. All the trappings of the family. Of course, you still got to love your family and be connected and so on. But are there things that are holding you back because you say, oh, my family didn't do this, or my family does it that way? Maybe it's time to forge your own identity. God is telling Abraham, you're going to become a great nation. You can't hold on to your parents, Terach and Amtalai, who were idolaters. Even though Abraham had already rejected idolatry, God was asking him to take the next step, to move away, so that he could become the father of our nation. And sometimes, maybe not physically, but psychologically, we have to move away. We have to take a step forward and come into ourselves. Now, Abraham was quite afraid. Rightly so, it seems. God says, don't worry. Even though you don't know where you're going, because he didn't tell him, you're going to become a great nation. You become successful. That's always the fear. I'm going to do this or do that. I'm going to take on more in my Judaism. And then what's going to happen with me? Will I be able to get a job? Will I be successful? Are people going to talk to me? Well, guess what? Abraham was hugely successful. He became a wealthy man. He was respected. The Pharaoh cut a deal with him. Avimelech, the Philistine king, cut a deal with him. Abraham, even though he didn't have children right away, he eventually had Isaac and then Jacob. And the whole Jewish people, boy, was he successful. Sometimes we have to get over that fear and take the leap. Lech Lecha. Go for yourself. It'll be for your own good. And to the land that I will show you, God says. Follow me. It's difficult. It takes a little bit of a challenge. It takes guts. I want to just pay a little tribute to my parents who did their own Lech Lecha, who did their own going forth, especially my mom as a college student that decided on her own that she was going to embrace Judaism in a more serious way than her immigrant Eastern European parents had. And she was going to really take on, keeping kosher, Shabbat, little by little, step by step, baby steps. But it was the Lech Lecha, going forth, the movement. We got to make the move. We got to start moving in the direction that leads us to the land that I will show you, as God says in this week's Torah portion. You see, Noach remained where he was. Last week we talked about Noach. Noach built the ark, did exactly what God wanted, built the ark, but had no influence on anybody else. At the end of the day, the only people that were saved was Noach and his family. Abraham is going to become the new nation. Abraham amasses a following. Lots and lots of people that are following in his way, besides for obviously his descendants. And we see this throughout the Torah portion, that he has people. He has groups of people that are coming with him. He has this tremendous influence. In other words, not only does it not detract from Abraham when he follows the mission, to the contrary, it contributes to his growth as a person, as a leader, as an individual. And that's the call, the perpetual call to all of us. Lech Lecha. Go forth, make a move. Stop getting caught up in our own desires, in our culture, in these things that are holding us back. If they're holding you back from spiritual growth, it's time to let go and move forward. We're always here for you. We're always here to support. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, send me a line, send me an email, or write a comment right down below. Anyway, talk to you soon. Shabbat Shalom.